So we're here in Grand-Bornand, which is one of the most stunning places to fly in the Alps.
The local area is an absolute mecca for paragliding.
Grand-Bornand is beautiful. You're finding some of the best scenery in the world.
Grand-Bornand's fabulous, stunningly pretty. Everywhere you look, it's jaw open kind of time.
It's a very good quality flying area, bit full on, but good training for all of us, really.
It's got a real combination of mountain, and then you head off into much smaller hills flying. It's a super place.
My name's Malin. I'm an SIV instructor with Flyo Paragliding in Annecy. I created the Race Academy 6 years ago.
So the BPRA is set up to try and fast-track British pilots into the British paragliding team.
We train up to the current British team, but it's basically taking the new guys coming through into a training program, into a group learning environment to get them up to the level where they're fighting for places for the British team.
We've seen over the years that it takes many, many years to get to that level. So the aim was to try and condense the training and pass on the knowledge that we've gained over those years. So we're trying to put in place a program to allow new pilots, younger pilots, to achieve goals a little bit faster.
It's sort of trying to help upcoming comp pilots in Britain, give them a bit more knowledge, a bit more technique and experience with how to fly comps faster, safer, gaggle flying. Everyone can share their thoughts and knowledge about comps and sort of help each other. Perfect for getting into comps and getting into PWCs, getting into Cat 1s, that kind of thing.
So since the inception of the Race Academy, we've got a European champion and a world champion and a gold team at the Worlds. So we couldn't have asked for any more. We went from 6th or 7th in the world rankings down to 4th. We've slipped at the moment just because we haven't been very active doing comps recently, but it's really paid off the work we've been doing.
BPRA has been so helpful for me. Comps, it's the best you can have, really.
Yeah, it was incredible. Such great learning and mentorship from Russ and Malin.
The pushing up from the bottom has been very effective in this group, but we mustn't rest on our laurels. We have to keep going. We have to keep improving, keep adapting, and keep searching for the next generation of pilot.
Some of the forecasts are dodgy, some of them give us half a chance, but we're going to take to the air, no doubt. What will be, and we're just relying on the local knowledge, the great task setters. Hopefully we'll keep it nice and short and sweet today, get a decent scoring task in, and we can start the British champs with a bang, and then the weather is going to do what it's going to do this week. So we'll just play it by ear. We've
got some challenging weather this week, but it can make for some fairly fast and interesting tasks. So again, it's great training.
So this week, it's the first comp on an Enzo, so first comp on a proper competition wing. So it's really just getting a feel of where I am in the field.
So I will treat this competition like every competition where I actually go and try to win. I have quite a lot of pressure on my shoulders because people expect me to do well in this competition. So I've got a big target on my back, but I try not to let that get to me. I try not to allow that to affect my decision making, because I've learned in the past that actually you tend to push more and take more risks than absolutely necessary because of that. So this week I intend to fly like I naturally do, be disciplined, be fast, be on it, but not take unnecessary risks, especially too early in the flight.
It's day one, task one of the British and Dutch Open, where the competitors have a task of 53 kilometres around the local area.
And we're off! Task 1, British Nationals 2022, Le Grand-Bornand.
Task 1 was a tricky little task. We were struggling a little bit in quite stable conditions. The thermals weren't that great. We couldn't get high above takeoff particularly easily.
There were two distinct gaggles, high one and a low one. However, they amalgamated fairly quickly on the first glide across the valley.
And there was a series of ridges that we had to fly over, and each time we did that, we kind of lost some of the pilots in the task because they got low and couldn't get back up again.
Lots of pilots connected low on a ridge and did a bit of tree surfing, which was a bit necky, but it's the only option you got. So along you go, tuck in nice and close.
We eventually managed to get round. The last glide crossing the mountain in front of takeoff was quite difficult, and we lost the large gaggle that was the lead gaggle by that stage. And it brought it down to about 10 of us, I think it was. And then it was a relatively straightforward race to the end of the task.
First across the line and winner of Task 1 was current world champion British Russ Ogden, closely followed by Andrew McNichol and Frenchman Jonas Laplace.
So I managed to win the task by really being on end game decision making quite early. And I managed to climb to the top of the last thermal that we took, and pushed pretty hard for the last part, and tried not to waste any time taking unnecessary 360s, which allowed me to get a small little jump on the guys that I was with at the time.
Tell us about the final glide.
Yeah, final glide, it was a close one. I left with like 24 to 1. So usually I'd leave at about 8 to 1. But the climb I was in was petering out, so I left with 24 to 1, which is usually would never get you into goal. But I just had no other option.
As you can see, the weather's awful, and launch is shrouded in cloud, so we're not flying today. The past 2 days have been written off, so we haven't flown, and no tasks have been set. So I think that puts more pressure on the next couple of days and today. Even though today isn't great conditions, there's a lot of cloud about.
The week is going to be really fractious with the weather conditions, so we're not likely to fly a lot of solid 1,000-point tasks.
It looks like we're not going to get many taskable days, which means getting to goal every day is key.
I think today's going to be tricky. We've got some difficult transitions to make through some valleys with low cloud. So I think today is going to be tricky.
The task setters got to work putting a task together that most pilots thought to be quite ambitious at 80 kilometers, taking the competitors to Annecy and back via the Aravi.
Can get a few runs and make goal.
As it turned out, they got it spot on, as it ended up being a spectacular flying day. In an extraordinary turn of events, world champion Russ Ogden arrives just out of cycle after the first glide. This ultimately led to him landing shortly after. Landing early on what will probably be the highest scoring day of the competition leaves the door wide open for the chasers to seize pole position. Ulrich Prins has been leading the majority of the first half of the race, and on the Annecy turn point is really breaking away from the other competitors, flying the last 25 kilometres alone, passing the end of speed section a full 6 minutes before anyone else. Runner-up was Frenchman Louis Cousseau, and third place went to Ronnie Kieson of the Netherlands.
Task 2, 85 kilometre task, something around that. It was an okay task for me. I got stuck twice, put me really far behind the leaders. Ended up 200 metres short of the end of speed section. It didn't affect my score too badly, but yeah, a bit of a shame I didn't get to goal that day. It looks cloudy. I don't know whether we'll task today. I'd like a task, try and get a full valid comp out of it.
Well, we should always be looking out for Russ Ogden, current world champion, and he did brilliantly in the first task. He sadly didn't do as well in the second, but Uli Prince did, who's a German but flies and lives locally. He's brilliant. We should be watching out for Uli.
With the last possible day to get a task in, the pressure was on the committee to make something of the day to validate the competition. With a lot of moisture and low cloud, a short 35-kilometre zigzag task was set to decide the overall winner. Midway through the task, the chasing pack arrived higher on the ridge in a more established climb, giving them the jump on the lead gaggle. This pack, led by Clement Cruciani, managed to maintain the lead for the remainder of the task, with Cruciani the first to arrive in goal. Second was Julian Marion, followed by Manuel Lely. After a week of tricky weather and just 3 taskable days, German Ulrich Prins takes first place, followed by Dutchman Ronnie Kieson in second and British Andrew McNichol in third.